Yeah, this is Bang Bang Rail. Please press the like button and subscribe. Sorry, I'm just like this. So I'm just going to go down the gym. Yeah. Ronald Malloy, silver bullion, about 1972, 71, 72. Him and George Ince and a few others, I think. They nicked a load of silver bullions, ingots. I think they nicked about 60,000 ingots. How much that got to come to? And then I don't think they never got any of them back. I'm not quite sure. I don't know too much about it. All I know is they nicked all them ingots, yeah. But Ronnie Malloy, what a nice geezer, man. He was a proper gentleman, but he was the meanest man you could know. All that money out there, yeah, he was so mean, yeah. I went in Chelmsford, in I think about 77, 76, 77, from all the blocks I'd done. Anyway, and Ronnie Malloy, I think he got nicked about 72, I think, or something like that, or 73. He'd done about 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years, something like that. But the geezer, I was in what it was when I went to Chelmsford prison, yeah, when you first go, go through the centre, this, that, and the other. Well, I was going through the centre, and I see Ronnie Malloy, didn't know him then, but I see him walking through, and he looked like, I thought, this geezer's got a massive pair of balls, you know what I mean? Because it was right out his funny of one, right? Anyway, I used to see him when he first go there. He got a chance going down the gym with us straight away, yeah. So I started going to the gym, and I used to see him. He loved the game of badminton. Good badminton player, mate. And him, Jimmy Tibbs, the old man. Good badminton players. Especially good badminton there in Chelmsford Prison. And Ronnie Malloy, fit. He had massive abdominal muscles, yeah. He was always doing loads and loads of sit-ups, big abs he had, and he was always running around the yard, never stopped running around the yard. I think young Jimmy and him used to run quite a lot, yeah. More like trying to get all the information out of him, where he had all the bullions hid, yeah. Anyway, so I eventually get a job in the kitchen, and the first job I got was washing up, yeah. But I used to walk over to the pantry. That's where Ronnie Malloy worked, yeah. I used to walk over to the pantry and have a chat to him. And he never really wanted to talk too much to anybody, Ronnie Malloy, only Jimmy Tibbs and Ronnie Bender. There was about the only two that he would have a conversation with, and Alan Dixon, but not so much so, yeah. Anyway, so I used to see Ronnie Bender walk in there, yeah, and come out with all sorts of stuff in buckets and stuff, you know what I mean? And he was, I think he was on the works, Ronnie Bender, at that time. So, and then Ronnie Bender who used to joke, and a geezer called Mitchell, S.O. Mitchell, and a few other screws in there, was a little bit petrified of Tibbsy, Jimmy Tibbs, the old man, and Ronnie Bender. The nick was a funny old nick, Chelmsford Prison. It wasn't many screws there. It was run by the cons, really. It was run by the cons, you know, like the prison was just like the best prison you could ever go to. It wasn't like a prison. It was just like a hostel, you know, as such. Really, someone joking. Well, our wings, C wing, you do anything you want, really. It's to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, they could close the nick up in seconds, just shut all the gates and that's it. I mean, and call the police and all this. But that's what they've done when a fire happens, a big fire, yeah. But anyway, Ronnie Malloy used to run around the fields a lot, and we used to play rugby. And when I was on the weights, they had a compartment, a bit of Chelmsford, the actual playing fields cut off, yeah. So they had one of the big corrugated sheeted. So they had weights out there. I'm not joking, big weights out there, you know. Yeah. And I used to train there all the time. And Ronnie Malloy used to come over and want to work out with me. And I said, listen, Ron, be fair, mate. I said, you're in the pantry. I said, come on, I'll give you a workout. I'll work you out, yeah. Make sure you look after me some tea bags and some sugar. Yeah, no trouble. So working out of him and all that and go back there. But it wasn't so much getting your tea bags, getting your milk, getting your sugar, getting whatever it is, biscuits, cakes, what's in there that you want, yeah. It's not about getting it in there, it's about getting it out. And the old man Tibbs, Jimmy Tibbs, and Ronnie Malloy, they used to go out of there every day, right, and get searched, and their search would be straight up, gone. Owls would be all that, pat, 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 round the groin and all that, down the bottom of the legs and everything around the back. And you couldn't get nothing out of them, mate. It was virtually impossible. You could, but it had to be such a something small, it wouldn't be even worth the aggro, just in case you got caught, you know what I mean? But I was just say to one, look, you can come and have a workout with me and can you get me some sugar and some tea bags, you know? He went, yeah, okay, I'll give you some. I said, no, don't give me some, but can you take it out for me? Oh, I don't know about that, it's a bit dodgy, you know what I mean? I can't really do it that way. I said, shut up, Ron. I see you doing it every day. I see you taking big parcels that way. I said, when I first come into prison and I see you walk across the centre to Sea Wing, you looked as if you had a great big bulge down there, you know what I mean? And I thought, oh, that guy's well gifted. Come on, Ron. You was like, at it. You're at it 24/7 all the time. You're taking gear out of the kitchen. And they used to look after, I know this sounds a bit crazy here, and people that are screwed may be watching this here going, nah, it couldn't happen. But it happened, yeah. You get Ronald Malloy and you get the old man Tibbsy would look after certain screws on Sea Wing. They'd look after them, give them certain things like meat, joints of meat, which Ronnie Brennan would get out for the dustbin or whatever. Give the screws joints of meat, give the screws whatever they wanted, really. And it was Ronnie Malloy to get the tea bags, the coffee and all that, some milk, some bits and pieces. And they'd also serve them up, mate. You think I'm joking? And there used to be things coming to that pantry that you'd never, but also when they come to the pantry, they go to the officer's mess. So you can imagine what goes to the officer's mess. All the nice biscuits and the cakes and all the niceties, yeah? So Ronnie Malloy being in the pantry, he could get all that. And the screws on our wing, Sea Wing, it was only 3 or 4 screws on our wing that you could look after. Ronnie Malloy and Jimmy Tibbs used to look after. You know, and you see him walk into the office and you see like a bag go over or this come over, that come over, you know what I mean? You knew that it was at it, but what can you do? I mean, they're proper old-time gangsters, you know what I mean? Ronald Malloy really wasn't, I know he got done with George Ince and all that on the silver bullion, yeah? But Ronald Malloy wasn't a gangster as such, you know? He was just a nice, educated guy, really educated, really fit, educated guy. You know, one of them people, not a gangster. You know, big Jimmy Tibbs, you knew that he was a handful. You knew that he was a proper predator, mate. You wouldn't want to muck about with him. You know, you knew you was in trouble with him. You know what I mean? If he was on you, mate, he was on you. You was like a lot of trouble, mate. You wouldn't want him on your case. You know, he ripped with the pieces. Hands, massive hands, yeah. But Ronnie Malloy, he wasn't feminine, mate. He was a big, he was about 5'10", 5'11", but really stocky. You know, stocky, big muscles on abdominal muscles, and but he used to train. I mean, do you know what? Prison, yeah. In my times, not so much now. I don't think it's so much now what it was then, but maybe it is. I don't know. In my times, anybody, they used to train. They used to look after themselves all the time. They were always in the gym. They're always running. They're always educating themselves. You go in the cell sometimes, and they'd be reading books, yeah. Don't forget, in them days, there weren't no tellies, yeah? So there was only the radio, the Hacker, the Robertson, the record player, the Pi, you know, and all record players like that, everybody had a record player. I should think 99% of people have record players, just not in B wing, which is short turners. Our wing, record players, big Hacker radios, big Robertson radios, they were the ones, they were the most important ones, them two, yeah? And yeah, and that's what it was. You used to go in their cells because there's no telly. You used to go in their cells and they'd be sitting there reading books from, proper history books and really educating their mind and doing figures and always reading. always writing. You always. You go in the cell. But no, I mean, even if you go in the cell like Ronnie Bender's cell, you go in there and they're all playing cards, poker. And there's so much money going over there. They used to have like these cardboard chips, yeah. How much fivers and tenors and scores and all that, and chuck them in, and play for lots of money, mate. And there was lots of money always passing over. A lot of people used to get money in for the visits. A lot of it makes me laugh, doesn't it? This is what a prison's about, yeah. Because you got the guys that work in reception. Most of the guys that worked in reception were Seawing, come from Seawing. So when a parcel come in, it usually goes to the gate and then reception. So you can imagine if you want something in, like drinks and things like that, it used to come through reception. And it'd be brought in through them, same thing. And Ronnie Bender would go there as a works thing and go in there and come out with boxes and stuff. I'm joking. It's mad. And like prison, it's, you see Goodfellas on the telly and on the films, what they was like. They ruled the ring, they had all that, but Chelmsford was exactly the same as that, honestly. And Ronnie Malloy, I've never seen him. I've seen him argue a lot with people about everybody. Listen, everybody in there wants a parcel. Everybody in there wants a parcel of milk, sugar, tea bags, and all these sorts of things. You all want it, you know what I mean? But people like Mickey Green, Ronnie Bender, Jimmy Tibbs, and all them sort of people. There was loads. They had loads of cash for flying all the time in the card school. Mickey Green was one of the luckiest geezers I've ever seen. I mean, I never used to go in there much in the evening because I was always training, always in the toilet, doing weights and doing press ups out on the landings and in my cells and them sort of things, yeah, and pulling myself up from the bars outside and all them silly things, you know what I mean? But I never done it. If I did, going to Ronnie Bender, so it'd be late, and most of it would be finished. And I go in there and I do neck rolls. Believe it or not, Ronnie Bender had loads of cushions, big cushions that he got made in the prison. He got his own bitches, hasn't he? He got people that make him all big cushions and things like that. So I used to go in there and do my neck rolls with the cushions behind my neck so I didn't hurt my neck, So yeah, I used to do a lot of that. And mate, he used to have so many bitches, Ronnie Bender. in there, running around for him, doing all his bits and pieces. I mean, he had a routine. I'll do a run back Ronnie Bender, but he had a routine run that Ronnie Bender I'm talking about, not Ronnie Malloy, Ronnie Bender. He had a routine, I should think, when he got up in the morning and he went and had his shower or whatever, when he come back to his cell, they'd be in there. All the bitches would be there making his bed, making his coffee, doing this, doing that, going down the stairs to the kitchen. Because the kitchen would only be open. It's open anyway, but you could only use it in the evening, right? But there's certain people in there, like Ronnie Bender and the Tibbses and Ronnie Malloy, that could use the kitchen. So in the morning, you see them frying their bacon and eggs and tomatoes and liver and bacon and all them sorts of things, and everybody else is gagging because the smell of it goes all around the neck, But I was okay because when I got in the kitchen and my mate, me and him fell out. Me and a guy called Peter Lyons, yeah. Peter Lyons, big guy, massive guy. He used to be. I know it's about Ronald Malloy, but I'm just talking about, Peter Lyons, my pal. He was Roy Atkins's mate. Him and Roy Atkins has done Bird together before that, yeah. But Peter Lyons and Mickey Blackmore is another pal of his. Sorry. Anyway, so Peter Lyons, being that he was in the kitchen, he was on the coppers. And being on the coppers, one of the best things I could get was milk, because there's always milk going their tea, there's milk going their sweets, there's all, so he's always taking out loads of milk, yeah. So he had lots of people around him for milk, and so he had it quite easy as far as food's concerned, eating's concerned. So he could eat like Ronald Malloy, like Jimmy Tibbs rather, and all that little firm Ronnie Bender, because he could eat, because he was in. But with Peter Lyons used to smoke cigarettes a lot, yeah. And in there, in Chelmsford, it goes on in Albany, but I didn't see a lot of it in Albany. I see more acid in Albany, acid tablets. But in Chelmsford prison, there was a lot of puff. And it was all solids, it was all solids. So, and I got done for they done me on the opium thing, don't they? On the opium thing, but there was all solids. It was to be all solids, yeah. Moroccan and all that sort of thing, yeah. But there'd be loads of, and Peter Lyons was murder on the puff. He loved the puff, right? Mickey Green and Tony Edlin, they loved the puff. But more so Peter Lyons. So because he was on the coppers and come back with the milk, he used to always get puff. He'd always get it, and he'd get quite a bit of food. And he was my pal, so I used to get no milk. I had to nick it at me, and he fell out over that. But that's another story later on. Yeah, but anyway, Ronnie Malloy. The amount of times he didn't. Ronnie Malloy was a person that was very, what's that word? I don't know the word, but what I'm saying is he was one of people like was quiet and didn't be around a lot of people, only certain people. He wasn't one of the people you could get into his company very easy, yeah. The trust, I suppose, is, the geezer like that, you had a lot of, come on, you got all that money out there, millions of pounds out there, and it's just there waiting for you to pick it up. Imagine if you buried it somewhere, yeah, this silver bullion in boxes or whatever, big lead boxes or whatever you're doing with it, yeah, you buried it. And when you come out, there's a big building site on top of it. There's a big building on top of it, or they're doing what would you do? I mean, come on. You'll have a heart attack, won't you? But all accounts, yeah. They gone or whatever, it's elsewhere, and but they weren't silly, mate. They was proper Georgie Ince and Ronnie Malloy, proper gangsters, mate. Not gangsters. No, they weren't gangsters. I know maybe George Ince was, but Ronnie Malloy wasn't a gangster. He wasn't. He's just a nice businessman, as I said before. And when he never swore. I've never really heard him swear. It wasn't one of the go on, man, all that game, and he wasn't into that. He was just when he walked round with Tibbses, he walked around with Benders. He didn't walk around with many people. He was very, very quiet, and had a few visits. He was, you knew this guy was corrupt. He had money coming out of his ear holes, you know what I mean? In that respect, he must have someone out there who's doing this and doing that, because there's quite a few people in prison, that have done big robberies, yeah, like Peter Colson, like the Bank of America, big robberies, yeah, and they do more money. They seem to do more money in prison by the way they look after people and all that. But Ronnie Malloy wasn't one of the cases that look after anybody but himself, yeah. So, and all his cash, well, I should imagine, come from the kitchen. And old Mitchell, the SO in there. Ian Mitchell was like that, very close. Mitchell and Ronnie Malloy were very close. No. Don't even go there. Ronnie Malloy was no fucking snitch or no grass. He was as staunch as they come. He was just one of them guys that looked after the SO in there and give him what he wanted and give the other screws what they wanted, and they'd let him out through the door and all that. And same Ronnie Bender with Jimmy Tibbs, go in there and get a big leg of lamb or a big not a side of beef, but loads of beef, pork chops, bacon and all that, and walk out of it and no one say a fucking word. And there's Sammy Ronnie Malloy walk out there. And the funniest thing is, right, when you're in the kitchen, you knew when they was taking stuff out. You knew it, you know what I mean? Because the way they used to put their bibs on, the kitchen one, the white one, so over their head, right, and a little tight, very loose round the thing, or they used to not tie it up at all, make it flop over, and it just hang down. And you knew there was carrying big parcels, yeah. I mean, I'm on about so much sugar, mate, you wouldn't believe it, and so much tea bags and coffee. Coffee in there was worth a lot of money. Coffee in prisons in my time. There wasn't much about as such coffee, but in the prison, in the actual thing, from so as I said, a lot of it used to come through the gate and go to the reception. Reception take it and they give it to Ronald Malloy to put in the pantry, so Ronald Malloy could give it to X amount of people and all this, that and the other. But Christmas time, Ronald Malloy Christmas time, you had all the cakes, you had all the pies. Do you know? Listen, you had all the pickles, all the hams. You had everything. I mean, but Ronald Malloy and Jimmy Tibbs, they must have earned a fortune at Christmas time. If they didn't earn a lot of money, it just made everybody happy, because